This week in the world of news from books, beards, and brews. All right. As always, I am Bob of Tales by Bob.
I'm the ass of the podcast, Derek.
Oh no, my mouth is full.
Oh my
I was
God.
eating this donut and then
You know what? Someone, a listener to the podcast, is like, no, look, she's not an intern. She's an equal part. Like,
No, you're not.
But like the stuff like this, man, we want to promote you out of intern. We really do. But when I do like 8 countdowns that we're going to start this episode, and as I say 3, you put a donut in your mouth. Come on, you are killing me, Smalls.
they're so good. I am forever unpaid intern Tanya.
Ah,
You keep that shit up, yeah.
These donuts are real good, y'all. The cheap ones with
we've
the
had them.
I love them.
Who hasn't had a mini chocolate donut? We know they're good. You don't have to.
Then why are you making me feel bad about eating it?
Because your
It's
timing.
It's not that you're eating it. I strongly encourage you to
Stop fat
eat.
shaming me,
I'm
Bob.
not. I want you to eat those donuts. I just think that maybe you could have waited the 20 minutes it's going to take for this news
But
episode
I'm
to eat
so
them.
hungry. Fine, I'll put half my donut down.
Oh God,
Whatever.
Ugh.
I'll focus.
All right, let's. I have a bunch of little snippets of news to just. First off, a while back, long time back, for season 1, Derek, you talked about Butcher Box, didn't you? It was like a
Yeah, I
meat
did.
delivery. So I guess they're expanding. Because remember, at first it was only like in the DC area.
Yeah,
I thought.
either DC. No, the thing was, I didn't look close enough. It was Washington. Which Washington? I was unsure.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Well, it looks like they're expanding. And real cool, they have a special running that, like, if you guess what, we're not sponsored by Butcher Box, but this is just too cool not to mention. You get free wings for life.
Yeah.
From them if you order, like set up your thing now, you get, I think it said 3 pounds of wings with every order, like every week kind of deal for the duration of your contract with them.
So why are you not hopping all over that?
I don't think they support this area. Probably.
I don't know. I didn't look to see what all areas they support, but I thought, A, hey, that's cool. B, it's probably going to be too expensive for me. Any food subscription service I've looked at has been out of my price range.
I used what was it, Green Chef for a little while, and it is pricey.
Yeah.
It's definitely is not a grocery store replacement.
The only one I ever saw was the one that you were doing, Derek, the
Nature
snacks,
Box stuff?
Nature Box. Because like
Yeah.
that's like snack food.
Yeah.
You know, like you're ordering snacks. You're
Yeah.
not ordering a meal. But like those, like oh hey, it comes out to like $14 a meal. Well, fuck me.
Yeah.
If I'm going to pay $14 a meal, it's not going to be one I have to cook.
I mean, they're really good. I enjoyed using Green Chef. I mean, it was cool, but it's pricey.
Yeah.
Now, hook me up with a crock pot subscription service where you mail me the shit that all I do is dump it in a crock pot. I could fuck with that all day.
Why aren't you doing that?
$1 million
$1
idea
right there.
Yeah, that's my idea. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, you want to try something different in your crock pot.
Yeah.
Here's a Ziploc bag. Dump it in.
Yeah.
Bet.
I wouldn't think that'd be hard to do. It's just a bag and then you
A
fucking
Ziploc.
refrigerated mailer.
Okay, I know you both, and you both want food.
Mm-hmm.
How about you give me money every month, and I'll bring you like 6 Ziploc bags full of stuff, and you just throw it in your crock pot.
We'll discuss this off air.
Start small, start local.
Get
just
that
doing
side
that.
hustle.
Yeah, start doing that, and then
Bet I won't do that. We'll talk about this off air.
yeah.
I helped him make a real good roast in the crock pot, and I do a real good salt pork.
By help, I was like, so should I just do this? She's like, and I was like, okay, well I'm going to do this. I mean, just whatever. I was, like,
I was there for moral support.
and I was like, okay.
He hadn't even opened up the crock pot till I got here. He's like, I bought a crock pot 3 hours ago.
Yeah.
It's here.
I had a hunk of meat, Tony's, and beef broth, and I just combined them,
Yeah.
and it came out amazing.
Anyway.
Right. Next little bit of quick news. So I know we've talked about the Macallan 52 year.
Uh-huh.
It goes for $53,500 a bottle.
Oof.
How much a shot do you think that is?
$600.
Huh?
$600.
$3,000 a shot.
Fuck off.
To get this, going on sale this summer, Macallan is doing a 72. Now, get this. All right, they're only doing 600 bottles, which they're already down to 599 because I think it was Men's Health. Like, they used a bottle for, like, a press tasting kind of deal. And so I was reading the Men's Health article about the guy who got to go taste it. But get this. So the 52 is 53,500. How much do you reckon the Macallan 72 is? It's 20 years older. How much do you reckon it starts at?
65.
Derek?
Yes.
Starting at 65,000.
What?
Yeah.
Right on the dollar. Yeah.
So I thought that was neat. I was like, wow, it's 20 years older. I thought it would be more than $13,000 more expensive.
Is there not like an upper limit for whiskeys?
Well, I guess the upper. Well, yeah, they did. Well, yes, it's hard to do because it evaporates in the crate. Like the crate, like the barrel will absorb it, and yada yada yada. So that's part of what makes it so hard to do these incredibly old whiskeys is because
it takes a long time, and
I mean that's 72 years where shit could go wrong.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like how many companies are 72 years old is another thing.
Yeah,
there's not that many.
You have to have the stability to be able to risk taking that long to do.
Oh, and this is also not a blended whiskey, I don't think. Which makes it even harder.
Yeah. Well, neat.
Yeah.
That's like the whole mortgage for the house that you're trying to get.
Yeah. I could literally, the house I looked at yesterday that I really liked, I could buy this bottle of scotch.
Oh, I was gonna compare it to my student loans. Then I was like, oh, that's gonna make me real sad. So I could get 2 bottles of this instead of one sheet.
I think
of
they
paper.
said they're only going to send like 198 of them to America or to North America.
I'd rather have the sheet of paper.
It's not doing me really much good.
For real, I'd rather have the bottle of whiskey.
Yeah.
Well, you could probably sell it for more.
Oh yeah, no, it's starting. They like the way they were talking. Like, oh yeah, this will instantly shoot way the fuck up on the collector's market.
Buy that shit for
I would
investment.
make more money buying the whiskey than I would with my bachelor's degree. Let's not get sad. Let's keep going on.
All right. So, few little books coming out of note. Smoking Summons is a new Charlie N. Holmberg book.
Yeah.
Comes out. I think we both have gotten it.
Yeah,
right?
I think it was like a free book.
Yeah, it was a free book. But didn't you read
her Paper Magician books?
Yeah, you've read The Paper Magician. So this is a new series.
I also picked up.
I think I have that too.
Smoking Summons?
Yeah.
Kindle?
Yeah, I got that.
Oh, we could maybe later in the year, that could be a book we read together, maybe.
Okay, we'll see.
We'll put a pin in that.
We'll see.
So get this. L.E. Modisette Jr., who I thought was dead. I'll be honest with you. I thought he was dead. He's got the 12th book in the Imager series comes out.
Never read any of that one.
I didn't know he did stuff outside of fucking Recluse. I had no idea.
Oh, he's
this is like
books, dude.
Like he's got like 20 fucking. I think it was like 19 Recluse books. And then he's on book 12 of this series. He's got multiple other series that are like 8 books. You know, like he's fucking churned out some books. Yeah. So
and you thought the man was dead.
Yeah, because
if a Recluse book doesn't come out, you don't hear his name.
Well, yeah, for real. Like I've never I chill on the fantasy subreddit a fair bit.
He didn't come up.
Never see him mentioned outside of Recluse.
Yeah.
But like clearly these are good. Like you don't get to the 12th book in a series unless they're
people
good,
ain't buying them.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? I've been fucking sleeping on Modisette. Need to get on that, apparently.
Have you read any of the Recluse stuff?
Yeah, I've read
just the first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this one, I don't know shit about this person. Had not heard of this book, but I loved the little description. All right, so it's called Break the Bodies, Haunt the Bones by Micah Dean Hicks.
Ooh.
Here's the one paragraph description. Almost everyone in Swine Hill is haunted. Jane's ghost tells her what everyone around her is thinking, even when she doesn't want to know. The lonely spirit possessing her mother burns anyone she touches. What? Her brother Henry's genius ghost forces him to build strange and dangerous machines. When pig people appear in town, taking precious jobs at the pork processing plant and enraging the spirits, Jane knows her brother's ghost has something to do with it. As Swine Hill's violent tide of dead begins tearing the town apart, Jane will have to find a way to save her haunted family and escape the town before it kills her.
That sounds awesome.
What the actual hell?
I know, right? Like, it's just
Like,
so...
what is that?
I don't...
Did they say pig people?
Pig people.
That's
yeah.
orcs,
That was
right?
not a stutter. It was pig people. Yeah. Working in a pork processing plant.
Yeah, and yeah.
Yeah.
So is this going to
I
turn
am
out to be like a
so-
PETA thing where like,
I think
it's
I
not
dig
pig,
this.
it's humans we're eating? Like, what
It
is this?
comes out February 5th.
That's my birthday.
I'm hardcore going to check this book out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm fucking...
Yeah.
This is bizarre.
But let's be fair, I don't
fun.
know that it can actually top what I now see in my head because of that
Yeah.
description. There's
Yeah.
It's only downhill from that description.
God, I don't know. I'm
Pig people.
and the town is called Swine Hill. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. There's lots to unpack there.
This is the revenge of the swine because it's the pig people. I'm telling you, that's what it is. They're taking over this pig factory and they're going to start putting humans through.
They're making
it
everyone
instead.
sick with the swine flu.
So, anyways, what else you got?
I have news.
Yeah, I was going to say let's do Tanya's
Okay.
news.
So you always have catchy like headlines.
Yeah.
This
Except
one's
for this week.
She doesn't even go here. That's the title. She doesn't even go here. Okay, so there is a tendency to classify women as YA or middle grade authors despite the actual content of their books.
Yeah.
So I came across this article and like I knew it, but I didn't really think about it, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
Because like I've been reading a lot of more female authors and it's like, oh, I mean, I guess this is YA, but doesn't feel like it. So multiple reasons, like my example is also an example that they used in the article. Sarah J. Maas's Court of Thorns and Roses.
Yeah.
That's billed as a YA book,
But it's lots
but
of
it
fun.
is real not.
Lots of sex.
Lots of, I mean, pretty explicit language. Not
Yeah.
like he drove his rock hard. No, that. Not full on smut.
Well,
but
I saw where someone listed all the like, here are words that shouldn't be in a real YA book. And
spreading, slipped, slide between my legs, feasted on me. Like, all of those things are in this book that the publisher is billing as YA.
yeah.
It's not a YA novel. Is the protagonist is like 19, and so maybe okay, but the content, despite the protagonist,
I think we've talked about this a little bit. I know
It went on podcast.
Okay, I know
Yeah.
me and Derek have talked about this a lot. Because there's a reverse of that.
and
Men don't
Can't get into
can't get into YA. If
Yeah.
a man writes a YA science fiction fantasy novel,
It
they
just-
they don't
yeah.
they don't release it as YA. They go ahead and just throw it on science fiction fantasy.
Hmm.
So it's like
I feel like there's some
gender
kind-
bias. This is a gender
Yeah.
bias that
Yeah.
that goes both ways.
And I feel like there's this weird interplay, like in between spot. Just like I feel like, okay, this is clearly not YA, but if like,
well, you have new adult in A books.
Oh,
So you've
okay.
got your MG, your middle grade, your YA, your new adult, and then your adult.
I've never heard of.
So-
See, yeah, I don't think new adult gets enough play.
I've never
'Cause-
even heard of that.
I had not heard of MG middle grade until
Yeah,
I
I
was
knew
doing
middle
this
grade.
article.
I knew middle grade, but I had never.
But yeah, so they're saying like middle grade is like upper elementary kind
Yeah.
of thing, and YA they're saying it's 12 all the way up to your 20s.
Yeah.
I was like, what's appropriate
That
for
is
an 18 and
inappropriate.
19-year-old is not okay for a 12-year-old. I'm not saying 12-year-olds don't know about sex and all of these things, but the themes are different. Your maturity level's different.
But maybe let's show what's in the book before it's bought by like letting it be in a section where you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
Well, and
before
see,
you
that's the
get
thing
into
where this
it.
is getting fucky is where, I mean, guys who are specifically writing YA aren't getting in where they need to go, and females,
there
despite
are very few.
There's
like
some-
I think
but-
the guy who writes I think it's a guy that writes Ranger's Apprentice.
Yeah.
And then the guy who does the Olympians series,
Percy Jackson.
Percy Jackson.
yeah. I figured. I mean, I thought Percy Jackson was YA. I mean, it seems very
No,
much
that's
YA.
what
That's what you're saying. There's
There
very
there
few
Are,
except-
there are a
Yeah.
couple of guys
But-
that are in there.
Yeah.
But there was another article that I found somewhere that really broke it down. Like
I saw someplace where there's some numbers about like, I didn't bring the numbers because it wasn't directly relevant to my article, but it was, talking about the YA books coming out in 2019 and how 87% of them are female.
Yeah.
There's some of them are, the authors non-binary gendered, and then a couple men, and that seems to also mirror the protagonists, and YA being very wanting to be very inclusive, so therefore your protagonists tend to not be straight guys, so you tend to have like a lot more female protagonists, which typically are written more by female authors.
We're not going to go into this on the podcast, but everyone should go look at Vulture. Just did an article that's gone viral about the drama in the YA Twitter sphere right now. Just how like it.
Who's trying to out PC each other?
Yeah, it's like everyone's trying to out woke each other, and it's causing a shitstorm. So we're not going to touch on that.
Yeah.
Just go look. It's a really intriguing read.
But back to my thing. For specifically for Sarah J. Maas, like she had a large YA following before she did A Court of Thorns and Roses. So I can see where the publisher would want to bank on that.
Right, because she was already in that vein. She already had a following.
Right.
Well, at that point, it's a failure of her editor. Her editor, if they know they're going to market it as YA,
then they need to
go in and edit it
to be YA.
YA.
But yes, but I haven't found anything where she specifically says, "Well, I didn't want this to be YA."
Yeah.
But there are some other authors. That's a publishing fault for Sarah J. Maas in particular. But the reading community, also has a lot to do with this, where we are shelving books as YA, calling it YA, but it's not. For example, Sylvia Morena Garcia has an upcoming book. It's Gods of Jade and Shadow. Someone on Goodreads was like, "Hey, y'all, can we stop labeling this as YA? The author has said this is an adult fiction. Stop putting it on YA shelves. Like, you can do your Goodreads shelves the way you want, but this is not YA." And
how's it going to?
How's the publisher? Yeah. What shelf is it going to be on in the bookstore? Because if the publisher,
probably YA.
Well, that's the thing.
That's like, publisher. Then.
That's not a reader thing. That's a publisher thing.
Well,
they're not doing their jobs.
But I mean, yes, it's for the publisher, but also if the community collectively says this is a YA book, despite the author and everyone else saying it's not, when people come in to shop, they're going to look in YA for this book.
Well, but here's the thing: how many people, how many authors do you follow? Exactly.
Very few.
Exactly. Like, me, like, I think I follow Nicholas Eames on Twitter, and that's...
I follow like a dozen.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing. Like, but...
See, I follow more of, like, the book blur, like, the community rather than specific authors.
But, so I guess the point I'm trying to make is, like, if the publisher, the book is not out yet, so no one's read the book.
Advanced reader copies.
Is a tiny fraction of people. But... Again,
vocal people, look, but I get it.
Everyone in this room is an active reader.
Yeah.
How many advanced reader copy reviews have you read in the past month or two?
None.
Exactly. Like that's my like. Yes,
I don't want to read it.
I'm not saying that the word doesn't get out. I'm saying that the word is getting out to such a tiny fraction of people that the 98% of the people who are going to read this book, they've never seen that the author said this isn't YA. They've not gone and hunted down advanced reader copy reviews of it. They just know, hey, I walked into Books A Million, this was on the YA shelf, da-da-da-da. Or like, hey, I'm on Goodreads, the publisher says this is a YA book, it's a YA book. Yeah. So, like, at the end of the day, like, it's not...
At the end of the day, what are we paying these publishers for?
Well, yeah, at the end of the day, like, we rely on the publisher to kind of... They're the ones who have handled this from day one to now.
To usher this to the appropriate shelf. And if they're not doing that...
But at what point does the publisher go, well, I know you said that it's adult, but YA is what's selling, so we need to make our money back. And shuffle it to the wrong shelf where people are shopping more.
That's something you have to work out.
It's still a problem with the publisher. Like, like this is a publisher issue. The publishing company needs to adjust how they're doing things. Like, quit shelving stuff YA just because it's fantasy written by a woman.
That has
not
typically a female
protagonist.
protagonist.
That's not Robin Hobb and a couple dozen others.
Yeah.
You know, like they're like it can be, and conversely, like don't automatically shelve. Like I don't know. Here's the thing that baffles me: why do they fucking just automatically shelve dude YA on the fantasy shelves? Like,
yeah,
YA sells better.
Yeah.
It does, you know? But
especially if you're trying to sell the kind of things that would sell that is considered YA in content, you're trying to compare that to a Sanderson novel. Yeah. There's no way they're going to be able to sell anything like that.
Well, and the other thing is like they were talking about was like YA is typically marketed towards females.
Yep.
There's no like basically
because our lady brains we can't handle big real fantasy, real sci-fi because we're dumb, so we have to.
No, I don't think it's a dumb thing. I think it
feels that way.
Well, okay, yes, but I don't think. What do you think the percentage of women working in publishing is?
Real small.
No, it's like 85% of the people working in publishing.
It's like overwhelmingly.
So do you think it's that they think that women are dumb? No,
they know what sells. You know how to get their money.
This is what they think. So here's the problem. Like, so you're done with Sweet Valley. I'm done with Hardy Boys. You move on to YA. There is no real good. There's not a lot of male targeted YA.
Oh, I get that.
So I just go ahead and move on
to Stephen King.
In my case, I did read a lot of Stephen King.
Christopher Pike.
But and that's also Black Company. You know, I went on Amazon and found like some.
I went to Raymond E. Feist.
Yeah. So guys tend to just jump, but there's also a perception, not that guys are smarter, but that just guys. It's more that guys are nerdier.
Yeah.
It's more a perception that guys are nerdier and guys are more prepared to buy in on fantasy to
obsessive nonsense,
obsessive shit.
Yeah, like that. I get that.
And I think over time it'll change, but just for now. It's the nature of the industry.
I just want everybody to tighten up. Come on, man.
I literally Thursday I went and met with Daniel from Interstellar, and we had like a sit down. We were talking about about a 3-hour sit down where we were critiquing each other's stuff. And he asked me on the book that he's working on. He's like, well, you know, I've kind of had this thought, like, what if I redid this as YA? You know, and I was like, well, first off, you're gonna have to age of your characters is going to have to come down. Like they're like in their late 20s right now, early 30s. Like the main characters are going to have to be younger. But the other thing is like you're not going to be published under Daniel of Interstellar.
Yeah.
You know, not really. Like the odds of that happening are
you'd have to go by Danny.
Not really.
With an I.
Or just the thing
I was literally about to say that.
Danny with an I.
The thing that a lot of people do is you get like J.K. Rowling.
Or R.F. Kong, who wrote Poppy War, whose book, despite its content, keeps being called YA. You read that.
Oh, that book's.
But they're shelving it as YA because it's a female and your protagonist is in her teens.
If you read it up, if you only read the first half of that book, it's a school book. It's a school setting. It's Asian Harry Potter to a degree.
Yeah.
Well,
No, it's Asian Name of the Wind, really. It's very similar to Name of the Wind, like the school setting and whatnot, and it gets caught up. But then, like, the next half of the book, like the back half of the book, it's rough.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, that's getting shelved as YA because it follows a younger female protagonist.
Well, I'll also say that I think that book does get it might be getting shelved YA, but at least in the fantasy community,
I've never heard it considered
hardcore
YA.
Considers that. Now, I'm sure that there are people who are shelving it YA, but that didn't come out on YA end of year lists. It came out on fantasy end of year lists and stuff like that because it's.
But I mean, okay, so you've got that sort of nebulousness with Poppy War. Where, you know, protagonist starts out young, grows through the end of the book, but you don't have that with Red Rising, which is a similar thing where the protagonist is young and you see him age, but you don't get that, well, maybe Red Rising's YA. No.
No, that's because Red Rising is YA.
by Pierce Brown, not YA.
No.
Everything that I've seen, it's always been categorized in YA. That's why I haven't read it yet, because I was like, I'm not
it's
really...
not YA at all.
That's where I got it from on the shelves.
I mean, maybe if you were really arbitrary based on your character age,
I mean, like,
content,
this doesn't spoil anything, but, like, major character's wife gets hung in the, like, opening chapter, more or less, and because it's Mars and has lower gravity, he has to literally pull her legs down to snap her neck. Yeah, like, it doesn't start out, like... But I've never seen Red Rising really talk about as YA. Like, that's another one that, like, fantasy, like, hardcore embraces. Because, like, those books are not, like, those books are dark.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, even if you're just arbitrarily shelving things YA based on the character's name, that's still not, or age across the board.
Those books are not shelved YA. Those books are in the fantasy section of Books A Million. Like, if you go right now, like, the Red Rising series is there. They're not... I got my copy of it from Dragon Con. They were giving out copies there.
But yeah, so that was it. And then, like, there's some other things, but I mean, that's essentially it. And one of the takeaways was, like, for me, you know, fantasy and sci-fi is typically male authors. That's the guy's realm of things. And as we've got all these more female writers getting into fantasy, and they're just automatically being relegated to the land of YA because, you know, if it's a fairy tale retelling, it has to be for teenagers or whatever. It's like you can write for teens like Hunger Games, but you can't write big boy fantasy and sci-fi. So you're just automatically going to be in YA.
Because she did a definitely super fairy tale thing, but she started out.
Spinning Silver has been shelved as YA by Naomi Novik.
Well, I think that one is, but Uprooted is not. Uprooted is not shelved YA.
Yeah. So that's my thing is just, and see, and me,
I think Spinning Silver is supposed to be YA though, but
no, it was used as an example of this is not YA, but everyone's calling it.
Okay. Well, Uprooted is not YA and it's not shelved.
Well, and like as a reader, I don't necessarily want to exclusively read YA, but the books that, or what is classified as YA, I want to say that I'm actually reading big kid sci-fi fantasy, but I also want to read more than just old books, like traditional, like R.A. Salvatore and like all these like people who've been in the game forever. So it's like, well, let me get some new freshness, and all the new freshness is being relegated. A lot of the new freshness is being relegated to YA despite content, and it kind of makes me feel like I haven't gotten to big kid.
Well, no,
land,
like you.
I guess.
Well, you don't spend a lot of time really looking at it. Like, so, like me, like I'm constantly finding like new stuff, but I'm also actively looking for it, kind of deal.
Right.
Like, see, I have read a lot of these people that have been around for decades, but like all the books I've read recently have been new books by new authors for the most part. Like there's been a couple that were but like going on to things like the fantasy subreddit, or stuff like that, like you find like see what that's Kings of the Wild,
right.
Like new author, he ain't been in the game for decades, and he just like
great.
City of Stairs by Robert Jackson Bennett, female protagonist, not traditional fantasy, but in big boy fantasy thing. It came out in 2014.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just it's a phenomenon that I in my head I noticed, but I hadn't really noticed.
Well, now, that's the thing. Now you know.
Yeah.
And so you can adjust accordingly. Like
maybe that's why I'm getting these books and being sidelined by why is this happening in this book? When I picked it off of this shelf, why is my lady protagonist always arbitrarily falling in love with some dude? Every book. Oh, that's a whole nother thing. I think we need to be done. I'm going to keep talking a lot about this.
Yeah, no, that's fine. All right, so I'm going to kind of gloss over this last bit of news. The headline for it. So I didn't do headlines for the others because they were so short.
Okay.
But this is a slightly longer thing. But this one's called Heaven Sent.
Sent as in like mailed, or like scent as in a smell?
Like as in the phrase.
Oh, Heaven Sent.
Sent.
Okay.
So Heaven Hill Brands has hired a new master distiller, Connor O'Driscoll. He's only the 5th master distiller that this company's had, and they're 84 years old.
Oh, wow.
This company. He replaces Denny Potter, who is leaving to go to lead the distilling at Maker's Mark. Oh. So O'Driscoll, he started his career in 2004 as operations manager for Brown Forman. After 5 years, he moved to oversee operations at Woodford Reserve.
Fancy.
And I figured Derek would have something to say about that, but apparently not. Shortly thereafter, he added warehousing and processing responsibilities, and he left Woodford Reserve to go lead operations at Angel's Envy.
What do they do?
Angel's Envy.
Angel's Envy is
yeah,
that's its own thing. Okay.
Side note, real quick on Angel's Envy. While I was at the ABC store today, huge shortage in Angel's Envy, so it's like being rationed across the country now. So
he's a native of Dublin who moved here in 1989.
I think I got that from the name.
Wow. My name's Magoo. Am I from
racist?
O'Driscoll?
Bitch, what did we say about not eating donuts in the middle of the show? I'll wait until this is over.
I was real hungry.
So he said, I'm very proud to be part of the Heaven Hills storied whiskey legacy. The trust of the Shapira family is humbling, and I'm excited and honored to carry on the traditions of the master distillers that helped establish Heaven Hills' place in the industry. I'm especially honored to carry on the legacy of Parker Beam, whose expectations for quality and consistency live on today.
Bob, quick ask Tanya a question.
My mouth doesn't have a bunch of donut in it. I took a tiny bite. Enough that I could cheek it like a hamster.
So let's real quick. What did you read this week?
Oh God,
I had news.
Oh, Derek, what's your news?
Well, you didn't tell me you had news ahead of time.
No one asked.
We're in a group
She
chat.
told me ahead of time.
Well, we came in and you were like, "It's time to go. Let's go, guys." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
You had all week to let me know you have news.
Yeah, but I didn't get news until yesterday.
What's the news? What's the breaking news,
Needs
Derek?
to be quick.
I didn't have that much to say. It was really short. It's just that fall of this year, production is starting on the King Killer Chronicles TV show.
Ooh.
And I also saw that Wheel of Time is starting soon.
Yeah, they've started. They'll start on production on that this year as well.
Yeah.
That King Killer one will be interesting to watch.
Takes place before the books.
Okay.
What'd you read?
I am reading Present Over Perfect by Shauna Nyquist, and I am listening to The Grey House by
Mariam
some
Pochowski.
Russian. Yeah.
Some Russian.
Miriam.
She's not actually Russian.
Oh,
I don't think.
Russian.
I think she's
anyway.
She might be Georgian or she's not.
Some Eastern European female. And I finished a book, but I can't remember what it was.
Present Over Perfect.
No, I'm still reading that. What was the audiobook that I just finished? I don't know.
Well, I read Here Be Dragons by David P. McPherson, which is great. Those people on this podcast that have read Kings of the Wild, read this book. It's a lot like Kings of the Wild.
I listened to Emma by Jane Austen. Right. I finished Emma by Jane Austen. That's what that was.
Here Be Dragons is a old retired adventurer getting back in the game.
Hey, I like that.
Also, if you'll recall back, I did a episode. We did an episode where it was the books, beards, and burrows, and I did like the 10 best burrows. This one takes the number 1 spot now. Thunder from Here Be Dragons is the best burrow, the best donkey in.
What kind of length are we talking about for this?
It's fairly short. I mean, it was a pretty quick read. If you have Kindle Unlimited, it's free to read on Kindle Unlimited.
I do have Kindle Unlimited.
It's free to read.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love Kindle Unlimited.
Well, that might.
Read it next. It's real good.
That's what I was about to say. Is I just finished Ready Player One.
Yeah.
So I haven't started anything else.
Read that. You'll love it. I think.
I've got so many things to read.
Or off air, we're going to talk about a book.
That may be
sufficiently advanced magic, but the reasons why I think for you is kind of long, so I'm not going to talk about it on air.
We'll talk about it. Yeah.
I read that. I read They Mostly Come Out at Night. Orange World Book 1.
Where do I know that from?
It's free on Kindle Unlimited. Benedict Patrick or something like that.
I recognize.
Yeah. It was real good. It was real good. Like you get halfway through that book and you're like, they resolved everything. Like what? Like how is there another half of this book? And then like shit pops the fuck off.
And then you realize they were asleep the whole time.
Oh my god! It's not that, but there is like you come to realize that like And I read Dead Lake, which is a short horror novel by I can't remember who. It was all right. This is first episode of February.
What?
By the end of February, if you want to get in on our short reads, you need to read Seasons of Glass and Iron by Amal El Motar and A Sheltered Woman by Yi Yun Lee. You can find links.
Oh, I hope that's good.
Yeah, you can find the links on booksbeardsbooze.com. Just go to our short reads tab and look for February.
I would like it to be good too, so that I don't be mean
you feel
about a
mildly
thing.
responsible for... Did you pick the Yi Young Lee?
No,
the first
I-
one?
no,
You
I
did?
didn't. Yeah.
No, so far my picks have been. I'm just fucking.
No, his picks. That's really been the
I
only
feel like I need
down
to, I
note
need
for
to
real.
look for some short stories.
Yeah.
Like that was the only one we
No?
universally agreed was just.
Yeah, but that's the only one that we
Yeah,
like.
I wasn't a
Everybody,
big fan.
It ain't none.
I read Ready Player One. Still working
You
on.
that? You finished that Slice of Life manga, didn't you?
No, I bought all of it, so
Okay.
I have it to
But you're
finish,
working
but I have
through it.
not finished it yet. And then, which is
What's the name of it?
Horimiya, Horimiya. It's real good, a lot of fun, really endearing. But it's kind of, you know what? We're not getting into
Okay.
that. But
Working your way through that.
we will very, very, very briefly. It's just gotten to the point where like the characters are kind of in a relationship now, and in a lot of TV shows, like once the people get together, it's
You lose
Kind of
interest.
slacks off.
Like The Office was better
when
when
Jim
Jim
and Pam
weren't
were
together.
still
It was still
kinda-
good after, but it was better.
like there's
Well, the
there's still,
tension's part of the fun of watching
Well,
a
I mean,
character, like two characters.
which I will say that there
flirt
is
around with
there is a lot of
relationship.
fun about this happening after that, but it's different. It's not as good, but it's still very good, if that makes sense.
No,
Like
I
it's
get
not
that. I
it's
get
not
that.
that level of special anymore.
It
It's
was a
just real
10,
good.
now it's a 9.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
basically.
Okay.
Anyways, but other than
get
that, I'm probably gonna start
Here we dragons.
either that or this other one that you were going to
I
talk
think
to me
you'll-
about.
I think you'll like it. Yeah.
Either way, we'll
Yeah.
discuss it, or maybe something I already own, like Tarzan or something, because I've
Okay.
got it.
Man, Kindle Unlimited. I'm finding so many good books on there now. I
And-
actually
oh,
like.
and
I've
I- oh.
really been setting out to actively find Kindle Unlimited books, and I'm finding some really.
And I
really good
started,
ones.
I started reading this really short, really small, obscure series called Harry Potter that's
Oh,
on
right.
Kindle
Oh,
Unlimited.
okay.
Nice.
Yeah, so I just started the first book of that.
Nice.
So.
One of my favorite things about KU is the books that have
So
audible
hip.
accompaniment.
Oh yeah.
So
That's
those are the
something
books
else.
that I
Like
look
some
for.
of these books, you get a free audiobook with
Oh,
it.
also, I just got a Paperwhite,
Yay!
Good deal. Good deal.
but I don't get it until my birthday because my mom was like, "No, I'm going to hold it
That's a
hostage."
mom thing,
She's
yeah.
like, "I'm holding it hostage until you come visit me for my birthday, which is 6 days before your birthday."
Nice.
That's fair.
Fair.
But yeah, so I use KU less about reading books like you do, and more about using it as an audible supplement.
Yeah, because if it has, there are some of them on KU that you just get the Audible book for free.
Yeah, see, that's solid. I've
yeah,
seen
see, I
a little bit of
hunt
that,
those
but-
down.
Yeah.
But anyway,
All right. Well, we'll wrap up there, and I'll say, as you tackle the coming week, may the blessing of the beard be upon you.
thanks for listening to this episode of Books, Beards, Booze. Our co-hosts are Bob, Derek, and Tanya. Our producer is Bob. For more information, visit our website, booksbeardsbooze.com. Follow our social media at Tales by Bob. If you enjoyed this podcast, please rate, subscribe, and share. Okay, bye.